accused of helping her boyfriend murder his estranged wife. This was in 2019. Troconis looking at conspiracy to commit murder, tampering with physical evidence, hindering prosecution, all relating to the death of Jennifer Dulos. Her body has never been found. Court has officially resumed. They've culled together as many jurors that remain. They're in the box. We are also following this case because they seem to be running out of jurors. One more has been dismissed. When I'm up there next week, I'm going to do a head count. I'll let you know who's actually disappeared. But this had to do with the social media uproar. It was unbelievable. Anyway, court's back in session. DA analyst Kristen Maydell is back on the stand to resume her testimony. It is cross-examination. Let's go to court.
Good morning.
So there were a lot of different exhibits that you were shown, and you went through there were multiple reports that you prepared. Is that right?
Yes.
And you actually were given different samples at different times and compared them to reports and deconvolutions that already had been done previously, right?
Yes.
And I think you said, correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't go back and start from scratch each time you were asked to compare another sample with your earlier work. Am I correct about that?
Well, it depends on the sample. I might have had to do a new decon if I DNR'd the first one to do a new comparison.
And the first reports you did were on June 1st, 2019. Is that right?
Around that date, yes.
You were asked at that point to examine certain materials and swabs and other things early on in this case while it was still in an early development state, correct?
Yes.
One of the things you were asked to do early on is to determine whether or not there was any DNA in certain parts of the Suburban, right?
Yes, I did have samples from the Suburban.
And as I understand it, one of the swabs that you were given to test was from early on was of the WeatherTech floor liner in the rear cargo area of the Chevy Suburban. Is that right?
That sounds familiar, yes.
And you were also given other materials to test, correct?
Lots of materials, yes.
And so there's some of your reports actually move around from materials that you haven't even been asked about yet, right?
That is correct, yes.
So I'm just going to show you one portion from your first report, which you called, your initial report is just called DNA report, right?
Yes.
And as I heard Mr. McGinnis the other day, if you were asked to look at another report, there were supplemental reports, right?
Yes, that's how they're labeled so we can tell the difference.
And I think there were as many as, I think, 19 or 20 supplemental reports, right?
19, yes.
Okay. And with regard to the initial review of the WeatherTech floor liner from the back of the Suburban, you had labeled that as 42S1 in the lab?
If I could refer to it, yes, I don't recall exactly.
All right, well, I'm going to show you a page because, like you said, there were other things that you examined that weren't even relevant to either New Canaan or the vehicle, right?
Correct, yes.
So I'm just going to show you, if I may approach. I'm going to show you what has been done as J for identification. Just have you look at that for a moment.
Your Honor, may I see J? I haven't seen it.
I'll be happy to show before I ask a question, I will be happy to show the state. Recognize that?
Yes, I mean, it's taken out of a report because that has my signature on it, yes. But.
Right. So, and that is your signature on there?
Yes.
And we understand there are other conclusions you reached about other items, but in that initial report, that was your conclusion with regard to that particular test of the WeatherTech cargo area, right?
Yes.
I would offer it, Your Honor.
Well, Judge, I'm going to object, actually, because this is outside the scope of direct at this point, and frankly, I don't think that if we're referring to Jennifer Dulos as suburban, I don't think that that's where this is from.
In other words, the exhibit doesn't reflect the sample taken from the suburban.